What if the one habit you've been doing quietly for years is actually hurting you and no one ever told you? For men over 60, daily self-pleasure is often seen as harmless, even healthy. But as your body changes with age, so does how it responds to routine stimulation. Behind closed doors, countless men are unknowingly putting pressure on a part of the body that's already vulnerable, the prostate. This isn't about shame. It's about awareness, because what feels like relief might be hiding warning signs your body desperately wants you to notice. And the first one could change everything you thought you knew. You might be ignoring early prostate symptoms. Most men over 60 believe they'd know if something was wrong with their prostate. After all, wouldn't there be obvious pain or discomfort? The truth is, not always. In fact, some of the earliest signs of prostate trouble are so subtle they're often masked by daily habits, especially masturbation. Let's be clear, self-pleasure isn't dangerous by itself. In many cases, it can even provide temporary relief. That's exactly the problem. It feels like it's helping, while it could be covering up early symptoms your body is trying to reveal. Take pelvic pressure, for example. If you've ever felt a dull ache or heaviness down there, you might brush it off, especially if the sensation disappears after stimulation. But that relief can be misleading. In older men, that kind of pressure is often one of the first signs of prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate, or even benign prostatic hyperplasia, better known as prostate enlargement. These conditions don't always come with sharp pain or burning. They sneak in quietly. You might feel unusually tired after urinating. You might start waking up at night to pee more often. Or maybe you notice your bladder never feels fully empty anymore. These are real signs, but they're easy to miss if you've trained your body to get temporary relief through daily release. In a way, your prostate acts like a smoke alarm. It starts with soft warnings, barely noticeable at first. A little more urgency, a little more pressure. But if you keep silencing the alarm with quick fixes, you risk letting the fire grow. Many men wait until their symptoms are undeniable. By then, the problem is no longer minor, it's chronic. And that's when treatment becomes more complicated and your quality of life starts to suffer. So here's a question that could literally change your health. Are you truly feeling fine, or just managing symptoms without realizing it? Sometimes the most dangerous issues are the quietest ones. Your body isn't trying to scare you, it's trying to get your attention. And if you listen early, you can avoid the kind of problems that take years to recover from. Don't wait for discomfort to get loud. Pay attention to what your body is whispering now, before it has to scream. The pelvic tension. You never noticed. You probably don't think much about your pelvic muscles. Most men don't. But after 60, these muscles become more important and more vulnerable than ever, especially if you're stimulating them every single day. Here's what most guys don't realize. During orgasm, the muscles surrounding your prostate, bladder, and lower abdomen all contract tightly. It's a natural reflex. In your younger years, those muscles recovered fast. No issues. But as you age, your body loses elasticity. Recovery slows, and what was once a short-lived contraction can turn into chronic low-grade pelvic tension. You might not feel it as pain right away. Instead, it shows up as pressure in your lower belly, a dragging sensation in the groin, or even discomfort while sitting. Some men begin to notice their urine flow isn't what it used to be, slower, weaker, or harder to start. They assume it's an enlarged prostate, but in many cases, the real issue is muscular tension pressing on the nerves and organs in the pelvic region. This kind of tension builds slowly, especially if you're spending long hours sitting or leading a mostly sedentary lifestyle. Add daily stimulation into the mix, and your pelvic floor starts to lock up, tightening just enough to limit blood flow and create discomfort, but not enough to raise a red flag. The result? You might feel fine in the moment, but over time, that tension begins to limit flexibility, restrict circulation, and irritate nearby nerves. That can affect not just urination and comfort, but your sexual function too. Most men don't connect the dots. They'll say things like, "I'm just getting older," or "I've been sitting too much lately." But what if it's not just aging? What if your daily routine is overworking a system that was never meant to go nonstop? The good news? Chronic pelvic tension is often reversible. With the right awareness, gentle stretching, and even just a few days of rest, your body can reset. But first, you have to notice the signs. Because your pelvic floor isn't just some background system, it's a critical foundation for everything from bladder control to sexual satisfaction. And if it's asking for a break, you should probably listen. How daily stimulation can disrupt your hormones after 60. Let's talk hormones, specifically testosterone. It's the key to energy, motivation, sex drive, and even mood stability in men. But here's the truth. Once you hit your 60s, your testosterone levels aren't what they used to be. That's normal. What's not normal is pushing your body into a cycle that drains those levels even further without realizing it. Daily masturbation might feel harmless, but when it becomes automatic, a habit you do without thinking, it can quietly throw your hormonal system out of balance. Some studies suggest that frequent ejaculation, especially without emotional connection or proper recovery, may cause temporary dips in testosterone. And at your age, even a small dip can make a big difference. Suddenly, you're feeling more tired than usual. You're snapping at people for no reason. You lie down at night exhausted, but can't fall asleep. These aren't just random aging symptoms. They can be signs your endocrine system is under pressure, trying to keep up with constant stimulation. Think of it this way. Your hormones are like a rhythm section in a band. If you keep speeding up the tempo without letting the beat settle, the whole song falls apart. Same with your body. Without rhythm, without balance, everything feels off. Older men often describe this feeling as being wired but tired. You're fatigued but restless, low energy but unable to truly relax. That's the sign your system is working overtime, constantly trying to restore balance, but never getting a break. And here's the part no one tells you. Your prostate is deeply tied to your hormonal health. Overstimulation doesn't just affect your muscles or nerves. It can signal your entire body to operate in high gear when it really needs to slow down. That leads to irritability, low libido, poor focus, and emotional numbness. So if you've noticed that your drive is fading, your motivation is low, or your body just doesn't bounce back like it used to, don't dismiss it as just getting older. It could be the hormonal cost of a habit you haven't questioned in years. The fix: awareness, rest, and the willingness to give your system the downtime it needs to recalibrate. Because when your hormones are in sync, everything improves: energy, clarity, drive, and yes, even pleasure. The hidden inflammation you're making worse. Here's something most older men never hear from their doctor. Your prostate can be inflamed, even if there's no infection, no fever, and no sharp pain. It's called chronic prostatitis, and it affects millions of men over 60. The symptoms? Subtle. The cause? Sometimes unclear. But one thing's certain: daily stimulation can make it worse. Think about what inflammation really is. It's your body's way of saying, "Hey, something's not right here." It brings more blood to the area, heightens nerve sensitivity, and makes tissues more reactive. Now imagine taking that already sensitive area and overstimulating it every single day. Even if you feel temporary relief, you're not healing, you're agitating. It's like scratching an itch that only gets worse the more you touch it. And because the symptoms of chronic prostatitis often overlap with other issues, like urinary trouble, pelvic pain, or fatigue, most men never realize what's really going on. You might feel a burning sensation after urination or a strange pressure during ejaculation. Maybe there's a constant sense of fullness in your lower abdomen that won't go away. Some guys chalk it up to age or assume it's just part of the deal. But here's the truth. It's not. It's inflammation. and it needs attention. The more you stimulate an inflamed prostate, the more your nerves stay irritated, the longer your healing gets delayed, and the worse your quality of life becomes. You might even start avoiding intimacy because of the discomfort, creating a cycle that leads to isolation and frustration. The surprising part? Many of these symptoms are avoidable or reversible if caught early. But you have to know what to look for. You have to stop mistaking irritation for satisfaction. Some men have started tracking their symptoms with digital health tools, adjusting their diet, and supporting their prostate with anti-inflammatory herbs like saw palmetto and neem. And they're noticing real improvements, less discomfort, better flow, and a clearer understanding of what their body needs. But the first step is awareness. Daily habits that seem harmless could be quietly feeding the fire inside you. And if your prostate is already inflamed, it's not asking for more attention, it's begging for rest. Don't ignore the discomfort. It might not scream, but it whispers for a reason. The sleep disruption, you never connected. Sleep is your body's ultimate repair system. Especially after 60, it's when your immune system resets, your tissues heal, and your hormones rebalance. But what if a habit you consider relaxing, like late-night masturbation, is quietly breaking that rhythm? Most men don't link their sleep struggles to self-pleasure. But here's what actually happens. Orgasm triggers a complex cascade of hormones: dopamine, oxytocin, prolactin, and more. In younger men, this often leads to a quick sense of calm and even drowsiness. But as you age, that same hormonal response becomes less efficient. Your body may release the chemicals, but not process them the same way. The result? You feel tired, but restless. You fall asleep, but wake up 2 hours later. Your deep sleep, the phase where healing actually happens, gets shortened or disrupted. And here's the kicker. Poor sleep doesn't just make you groggy. It amplifies inflammation, raises blood pressure, slows down tissue repair, and throws your prostate further off balance. It becomes a vicious cycle. You feel off, so you self-soothe. That self-soothing messes with your sleep. The lack of sleep worsens your symptoms, and on it goes. Even worse, many men ignore this link altogether. They blame stress, diet, or age. And while those things do play a role, your late-night routine might be the quiet culprit nobody talks about. If you've noticed you're waking up multiple times at night, or you never feel truly rested in the morning, even after a full 8 hours, it could be that your sleep hormones are misfiring. And if you're adding stimulation to that already unsteady system, it's like throwing pebbles into an already cracked glass. Eventually something breaks. This isn't about cutting out pleasure. It's about timing and balance. Self-stimulation in the morning may affect your system differently than doing it at night, and taking a few days off entirely may help reset your natural rhythms. When your body sleeps well, it heals better. Your prostate relaxes, your bladder calms, your energy returns. That's not a small thing. It's foundational to everything else you want to feel as a man. So if your sleep has been off, don't just reach for pills or accept it as a mystery. Take a closer look at your routines, because the fix might be simpler and quieter than you think. Are you accidentally causing urinary problems? One of the most common complaints men over 60 bring to their doctor sounds like this: I can't hold it like I used to. They think it's just age or maybe a weak bladder. But in many cases, the real issue isn't the bladder at all. It's the nerves. And if you're masturbating daily, you might be overstimulating the very system that controls urination. Here's how it works. The nerves responsible for ejaculation are tightly linked to the ones that control your bladder and prostate. They all run through the same pelvic region. When those nerves are constantly activated, especially without proper rest, they can become desensitized, overactive, or confused. The result? Your body can't tell whether to hold urine or release it. You might feel an urgent need to pee, only to find there's barely anything there, or you stand at the toilet and nothing happens for a few seconds, then it trickles out in a weak stream. Some men even experience dribbling or incomplete emptying, leaving them feeling like they always need to go. And the worst part? Most guys think these changes are just part of getting older. They don't realize it could be their nervous system saying, "I'm overloaded." Think of your nerves like wires in a sound system. If you blast the volume every day, the signal starts to distort. Over time, even small commands, like relaxing your bladder, get misread. That's how urinary issues begin, even in men with no structural problems. The good news? When you stop overstimulating those nerves and give them a chance to reset, the symptoms often improve. But it takes intention. You have to know what's causing the overload in the first place. If you've been waking up several times a night to pee or constantly searching for bathrooms during the day, ask yourself this: is your body aging, or is it overwhelmed? Because not all urinary issues are about size or strength. Some are about timing, control, and overstimulation. And the sooner you catch the real reason behind your symptoms, the easier it is to turn things around. Your nerves are sensitive, they're powerful, and they're trying to protect you, not punish you. But if you keep sending them mixed signals, they'll eventually stop responding the way they're supposed to. The pleasure fade. Is sexual burnout stealing your drive? For many men, this is the hardest one to admit, even to themselves. Not because it's painful, but because it feels like a loss of identity. If you've noticed that you're not as interested in sex as you used to be, that it takes longer to feel anything, or worse, you feel nothing at all, you could be experiencing something called sexual burnout. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds gradually, like background noise getting louder until it drowns everything else out. And for men over 60, it's surprisingly common, especially among those who've developed a habit of daily, emotionally detached masturbation. Here's what happens. The brain's reward system, the same one that controls motivation, pleasure, and desire, relies on a careful balance of neurotransmitters. Every time you stimulate yourself, it releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. But if this happens too often, without variation or deeper connection, your brain starts to numb itself to the signal. That means over time, you need more stimulation to feel the same amount of pleasure, and eventually, you may feel nothing at all. Your libido drops, your response time slows, and intimacy, whether with a partner or alone, starts to feel like a chore instead of a connection. This isn't about shame, it's biology. The same way listening to music at full blast every day eventually wears out your speakers, your body's pleasure system gets overstimulated and begins to dull the volume. And here's where it gets worse. Burnout doesn't just affect physical sensation. It can trigger emotional disconnection, irritability, low motivation, even mild depression. Many men begin to avoid sex altogether, not because they don't want it, but because they don't feel anything anymore. That loss can quietly eat away at confidence, self-worth, and even relationships. But here's the hope. Sexual burnout is reversible. Your body can recover sensitivity. Your brain can rebuild its response. But like any system under stress, it needs rest, intention, and sometimes a complete reset. It starts with awareness. Taking a break from daily release. Exploring connection, not just sensation. Supporting your hormonal health with sleep, diet, and balance. And above all, understanding that your body isn't broken, it's just tired. If your drive is fading, listen to it. Not with guilt, but with curiosity. Because the desire for intimacy doesn't disappear with age. It simply asks to be nurtured in a new way. If this video made you pause and think, that's a good thing. Your health deserves that attention. Don't ignore the quiet signs your body is giving you. Hit that subscribe button for more honest, eye-opening content about men's health after 60. And remember, you're not too old to take control.